Last week, I made a post challenging our community to ask me questions. Sure enough, they came through. I received a ton of questions, including a few hard-hitting ones. Let's take a look. What's going on? It's Pojr coming at you with a bonus video. So first thing I wanted to say is thank you so much for helping me get to 20,000 subscribers. It's honestly amazing that I have such a huge audience that enjoys watching my videos. I remember only 3 years ago, I only had about 100 subscribers, if not less. And we hit 10,000 subscribers less than a year ago. So for the 20,000 subscriber special, I decided to ask my audience what questions they had for me. I also went through some of my older videos and found some questions from there too. Anyway, let's get started. I was originally going to begin this video with my history on YouTube. Thankfully, this question by Stupid Video Game Clips right here covers that. How long have you been at this, and what was your turning point for becoming popular and starting to gain a lot of subscribers? You may notice that my account is very old. I actually started making content as early as 2007. Back then, I didn't know what I was doing. I rambled way too much, the lighting was poor, and I didn't have a capture card, so usually I would record the TV screen. These videos were very poor quality, but it was excusable because I was 15. Over the years, I had made half-hearted attempts at content creation, but never stayed consistent with it. In 2015, I made 2 videos talking about Werewolf and Mission Cobra, but then stopped after that. Honestly, I didn't have great work ethics. It wasn't until December 2020 that I started taking content creation seriously, but I didn't know what kind of videos to make. Originally, I was going to make Smash Brothers content, and I did release 2 videos on it, but there was one video that I made that turned things around for me, and I consider this my first turning point, Pac-Man on the 2600. This established my current niche of historian-type content. My previous video, Bubsy, was just a review of the franchise. That's it. Without the Pac-Man video, I might never have found my niche. The other video that I consider to be my turning point was Virtual Racing. Before that, I had less than 100 subscribers and I wasn't getting a ton of views or engagement. I tried chasing the algorithm with topics like Undercover Cops and NBA Jam, but at the time it didn't help much. It wasn't until the Virtual Racing video that I started to see some growth. That video started getting a ton of views, and within a week, my subscriber count went from less than 100 to a little over 1,000. When I decided to start making weekly content, then I really started to see some more growth. A lot of people say that consistent videos don't matter when it comes to the YouTube algorithm, and I do think that's true. After all, there's channels out there with over 1 million subscribers but only have like 30 videos. But the way I look at it, the more content I release, the more chances there are for one of my videos to be successful. If I buy 30 lottery tickets, there's a higher chance of one of them being a winner. I do agree with quality over quantity, but I'm trying to have the best of both worlds. So that's a basic rundown of my history and when things took off. Here's a good one from the HS Productions. How do you make this many videos? Somehow they are all awesome and well researched. I really do appreciate that. Honestly, I don't know how I've managed to keep weekly content going for so long. I work full-time and I go to school part-time. It's not easy to keep the train alive, but I do have some strategies. I don't record a lot of on-screen footage in my videos, which saves time. I also recycle a lot of things like gameplay footage from previous videos. I'm smarter about the lengths of my videos too. I try to stay within the 11 or 12 minute range. If a video is too long, it takes longer for me to write and edit, as you might imagine. My older videos were longer because I rambled too much in my scripts and I recorded more on-screen footage like skits for example. Some of these things were nice, but it was worth sacrificing them for weekly content. I do try to keep my videos as well researched as possible, but I have made some mistakes. Here's one from Kane and the Human Race. Can I ask what software you use to make these videos? Do you have a blog or anything talking about it? I'll give you a breakdown of the process of what goes into a video. The hardest part, in my opinion, is coming up with a topic. Then I write the script in a Word document. Within that process, I begin playing all the required games for the topic. I record using an Elgato HD60S Plus. When I'm happy with the script and the game footage, I record myself reading it all in one take. If I mess up a sentence, I start that sentence over. I use OBS to record my voice because I can easily change the audio settings that way. When I'm done, I go into Audacity and edit out all the mistakes and dead air. This is harder than you think because you really have to know how much spacing you need in between sentences. Once I'm done with that, I edit the video in Shotcut. You might be surprised that I'm not using Premiere or DaVinci. These are both excellent, but Premiere is not free and I didn't know about DaVinci when I was first making videos. I may consider using it in the future, but I haven't wanted to learn something new yet. For thumbnails, I use GIMP. I've never tried Photoshop, but GIMP has more than enough features for me and is completely free. Here's one from Yuri the Henrique. Do you have any help with your videos, or is editing, writing, and research all done by yourself? I don't receive any direct help with videos. I read the scripts, I design the thumbnails, and I edit the videos myself. I do receive some indirect help though. My brother has given me ideas for video topics, thumbnails, and how to make appealing video titles. I've also had a lot of suggestions from you all, which I appreciate. Some topics like the Supervision, Universal Games, Crazy Kong, and a ton of others were all suggested by our community. Without you all, I wouldn't have known about a lot of these topics. Now for a question from Do I Crunch. Hey, I've been watching your stuff on YouTube for a fair while, and I was wondering if you'd be interested in hiring a video editor anytime soon. I'll probably consider this in the future because it would take a lot of pressure off. Right now though, I'm not in a position to hire an editor because while I do make an okay amount off YouTube, I don't make enough to hire an editor. I would break even or possibly be at a loss. But I definitely want to revisit this topic in the future, especially because we are growing. Here's one from Christopher Lawrence. What's your motivation for becoming a YouTuber? Back in 2007, I was inspired by angry reviewers like the Angry Video Game Nerd, Irate Gamer, and Play It Bogart. In 2020 though, when I started taking it seriously, there were a few motivations. My life wasn't going super well at the time. I was working a dead-end job, I wasn't in school, and I had nothing else going on, and that was all bothering me. I had a huge passion for retro games, but I didn't know what to do with it. It's not like I can put it on a job resume. So I decided to take content creation seriously. I took some inspiration from the YouTube channel Company Man. I'm sure you've all seen him. He has this nice business model where he doesn't record his own footage, but he uses stock footage and images from the internet. This saves him a lot of time and allows him to push out videos faster. I thought it would be cool to make videos in this style, but retro gaming related. I feel good that I'm finally applying my love for retro gaming in a way that entertains and helps others. Now here's a question from Thomas Gabert. Out of curiosity, how do you capture clear footage of the 2600? Emulation? The Mister? I've attempted to capture the RF from it before, but was always hazy and disgusting. I record 99% of my footage from the Mister. I use a Raspberry Pi for anything that the Mister doesn't support. Some consoles like the Xbox 360, Nintendo Switch, and N64 I used real hardware. I definitely agree that using real hardware for the 2600 does look messy when you try to capture it. In my best way to play retro games video, I used real hardware and a lot of the footage did look blurry. You do kind of have to weigh out the options on whether real hardware is better for you or not. If you use real hardware, especially if it's an older console, unless you get it modded, it's usually going to look a lot worse. But sometimes that's worth it if you want the authenticity of using real hardware. Here's one from Brett Mix. So out of all the system consoles you've played, which one appeals to you the most? Also, is there a system you've always wanted to own but was never able to get? I would say the NES is definitely my favorite. I do like the 2600, but if I'm being realistic, I do put more hours into the NES. To answer your second question, when I was a kid, I really wanted a GameCube, especially after seeing commercials for Smash Bros. Melee, but I never got one. My family usually didn't have the latest and greatest consoles, which is actually sort of how I got into retro gaming. As an adult, I always wanted a TurboGrafx-16, but the console was way too expensive, so it was never worth it. Speaking of favorites, here's a question from a good friend of mine, Feral Inferno. What are some of your favorite video games? Here's a few of my childhood favorites. Kirby's Adventure, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 Knuckles, Turtles in Time, Super Mario All-Stars, Super Mario World, Super Mario 64, Mario Party 2, Kirby's Avalanche, Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, and probably others that I'm forgetting. This is a good one. Parasitic asks, how is school going? I appreciate you asking that. It's going well. I've been taking 2 classes per semester and passing all of them. Somehow, I made it through some hard classes like Calc 1 and 2. I'm nervous about next semester because I'm taking physics. One thing that bothers me is that I don't love going part-time because it's going to take me forever to graduate, but slow progress is better than no progress, and I'm glad I'm still doing it. Here's a question from Mad Dyer. Do you have a Patreon? Right now, I don't. I would like to create one, but I don't want to overextend. If I promise other services, it may affect my ability to provide weekly content. I don't want to take away from the content that I know people are here to see. Now for a question by Jimmy Claw. Which other channels, large and small, do you watch? There's a few that I like and can recommend to others. Feral Inferno makes great content, and I do pop into his live streams on occasion. Snoop Lax makes a lot of unique content on the N64. One video he made goes through every game where the N64 logo is not colored in correctly. PokeAimMD is one of my favorite PokeTubers, especially when he's in a draft league. I also watch Hayden, who brings a lot of Pokemon with unorthodox movesets. I'm not a huge history buff, but I do like vlogging through history. The person behind the channel does a great job explaining things to an average person like myself. Those are a few of the channels that I like. I'm sure there's others that I'm missing. DoorDash driver asks, when do you get your braces removed? It seems like I've had these things forever. I actually looked, and the first video that I had the braces on was the Gaming Memories one from June of 2022, so it's actually been 2 years. I actually forgot what it's like to not have them. Thankfully, I only have 2 or 3 more visits before I get them removed. Here's probably the most asked question. What the heck does Pojr mean? Some people might suspect it's an abbreviation, or maybe it's Po Jr. Well, it's actually much less interesting. I made up the name when I was 14. I wanted something unique, and I liked made-up words. I wanted something where if you typed in these letters next to each other, it could only be me. It's not an abbreviation or my name, it's just 4 random letters on a keyboard. Originally, I had thought about going under a different channel name, maybe something that represented retro gaming better, but people know me as Pojr now, and it would be weird to change it now. So I just thought it would be cool to give back to the fans. I apologize if I didn't answer your question. I may do another one of these if you all want it, maybe when I hit another subscriber milestone, or maybe just in general. Thank you for getting me to 20k subscribers.